Warframe is in a very weird spot right now, and I'm very worried. What's good, folks? It's KnightmareFrame here with a new Warframe video. This is a topic I was discussing with my Twitch chat on twitch.tv/KnightmareFrame with a 3 and wanted to make a video about it to see what you, the YouTube audience, thinks and feels about this whole thing. This is going to be a discussion topic type of video, just throwing out POVs and thoughts, so you can put this video on the side and listen to it like a podcast. It's just going to be me talking about how the damage meta in Warframe is pretty much making it stale, and if we continue down this path, it's going to hurt Warframe a lot. And how some sort of difficulty that actually uses the power we've accumulated from all the time we've put into getting this strong would actually revitalize the game. Also, reworking some core aspects of the game would be way better than just adding fancy new overpowered thing that continues to make the game easier than it already is. You will get people upset at the idea because they want the game to be the same forever, and that's just stupid. And then say, oh, it's just some veteran spouting nonsense. Well, the game has been evolving quite a lot over the years. It's not the same game as it was when it released. If the game doesn't evolve by improving the gameplay experience from combat, movement, and the gameplay loop, then it's going to fade out. If I were to actually go and search Warframe videos right now and show you the ones I've been doing, it's all about big damage numbers and blowing things up quick and fast to optimize your gameplay experience, which is fine in the ARPG genre, don't get me wrong. And I'm all for the power fantasy, but I feel like there is no consequences or challenge to the power we have now. The game has become way too easy, and from my perspective, DE themselves don't know how to actually balance or make things difficult or challenging without completely taking away power. I feel it started leaning heavy on the power creep and uber power fantasy with the launch of Zariman. You could already get a sense of how powerful you can get when you play Davinci with all the decrees, where the fight and mechanics are completely thrown out the window when you have the AoE elemental damage decrees. And let's not forget with all the overguard you can get nowadays. So with the Zariman, we got new powerful arcanes and incarnate weapons, to then later get incarnate adapters. And recently with the Whispers in the Walls, we got melee arcanes, Dante, and here we are with the status and armor reworks. Let's not forget to mention the new Warframe Jade. Warframe is a casual game, or rather, it's supposed to be. I get that, but with all the gear and modding, numbers, big damage numbers, high-level content, diverse movement tech, it doesn't feel casual. But Warframe has built a community of a lot of your regular and casual players, as all games do. But because the game is unique, free to play, and talked about positively throughout all social media, it's going to bring in a varied group of people. You're going to have your casual and hardcore players. The casual players usually consist of your average people who play the game on the side, but gotta work early in the morning. So they boot up the game to press a few buttons, kill stuff, and be on their way. You also have your 40-year-old dads who just have an hour or two to play the game, or hang out with their kids who play the same game. Then you have your tryhards and people who want to dig deep in the intricate mechanics of the game. The problem now in Warframe is that it has one playstyle: kill things hard, fast, and look good while doing it. That isn't a bad thing if it wasn't the entire game. And trust me, that novelty does die out pretty quick. I feel that way as well. I'm sure people would find that odd coming from me who covers Warframe on YouTube and orgasms when I do big damage numbers. Warframe isn't the only game I play. Shocker, right? You'd be surprised to hear that people come over to the Twitch and are confused, only to type, "Wait, you play other games? No way!" Playing one game all day every day is just psychotic, and I would lose it. Let's be honest, that's the first thing people see when they do research for this game. Big damage number build, top weapon or frames, or even a tier list video. I know a few Destiny 2 content creators who did try Warframe, got to the point of getting really good gear and frames to then start nuking everything. They enjoyed it to the point they got sick of it, as that novelty died out. The one thought process that they all had in common was, what else is there to do with all this power? They have done the level cap, they have fought all the bosses, but what is there to actually do with all this power? It's a really good question. And what's hilarious is that with each update, we keep getting stronger and stronger, but with nothing to really test this strength. People end up using really crappy weapons and frames to simulate difficulty in the game, or even go modless in certain missions. Big shout out to Asian Invasion with his modless Lanka Eidolon hunt back in the days that people thought was fake. But that's not difficulty. That's just a handicap that makes the game feel worse in a lot of cases. Now, there are people who do find that fun, and in all aspects, fun is subjective. And when people who play the game for fun get upset at people using the good stuff and call them meta slaves when they don't even know what the meta is. Because let me tell you something, Warframe players can't seem to differentiate the term meta with popular. Things are meta because they are the most effective tactic available. It's in the name. For example, the login reward weapon, Zenith, is meta when it comes to Eidolon hunts. However, it's not that popular of a weapon. On top of that, you need a Riven, especially if you're going to be speedrunning within the Eidolon hunts. It's also really great at taking out the pylons from a distance within the Prophet Taker fights. That's if you don't want to use the Kuva Ogress. A great example of meta and popular is the Kuva Ogress. It's meta in Prophet Taker speedruns, arbitrations, and it's a pretty good weapon that clears hordes of enemies with the right setup and environments. Another example, Titania. She's a pretty average Warframe when you don't include Helminth. All of her abilities are quite mid, but she's really fast in her 4th ability. So you slap on Thermal Sunder on her, and now she is meta in fast relic farm missions. The Tord Incarnate is a very strong weapon, very popular, very powerful at killing, scales pretty high, but will still be slower at clearing a room than a Korra whipping things, or a frame with energized munitions paired with a Kuvazar. All because Tord Incarnate has that downtime where you need to charge your Incarnate, and sometimes in the process of charging it, you can kill enemies and don't get any meter charged. Heck, the Galaxian Vandal is meta in Arena Endofarm as a great utility weapon, but everywhere else, it's an underwhelming weapon. Glaive-Frame is a powerful melee, great for killing hordes of enemies, but now, the melee meta is melee influence. Not to mention, the new blast changes paired with melee influence could be one of the most broken combinations in the game, basically creating a new AoE meta. People are using things that are meta because they don't want to waste their time with items or strats that are not optimal. And here's a cold hard fact. Why do you think videos like top Warframes, best weapon, primary, secondary, melee, and videos of the similar nature do so well? It's because your average player wouldn't want to waste their time grinding out something that they're not going to enjoy, not make them feel powerful, or would not reward them. If you were to give this a more blanket term, we are in a full-blown damage meta. If you don't do damage to kill things fast, your build is bad. If KPM and TTK is low, build is bad. If the build requires too much setup, then that's also bad. I mean, sometimes that's okay for meme disruption builds, but then again, it's a meme build. Things have to be fast and clear enemies fast. That's the meta, and has been so for quite a while. Only recently, people have started realizing it. And you can clear things fast with a lot of weapons and frames that are not considered quote-unquote meta. Calling people meta slaves is also a really dumb thing. Just because you have the time and resources to use the things that are not optimal and enjoy doing that, don't take it out on people who are going to finish and clear missions faster, get the rewards faster than you, so they can go and do other things with their lives. Everyone plays the game differently, but Warframe doesn't reward you if you play the game differently. Rather, it punishes you. This is also another thing when people ask me, what's your favorite weapon in Warframe? I can't really answer that because I don't have favorite weapons or Warframes anymore. Everything is just the same. Just use what's better at that point, or whatever I feel like using at that very moment. But my most used weapons that fit into most of my builds are the Epitaph for priming, or the Praetus, just for the movement tech. Otherwise, it literally doesn't matter at that point. Pardon, that was a little tangent. The main figures we see in DE, like Pablo, Rebecca, and Steve, do play video games, and that really helps when it comes to developing a video game. Gamers with the knowledge to make games do most of the time make good games, and we can see the results of that with Warframe. But DE doesn't really seem to have a concrete vision on how to implement difficulty in their own game, because I feel they fear backlash with the community. Yes, it's your guys' fault. I'm pointing at you. And it would be time consuming as they would have to rework a lot of features in Warframe. But they actually need to do that because these missions are so outdated. Believe it or not, there are a few individuals who found the new war quest hard and complained about it in the forums. Not to mention people asking DE to nerf the fragmented one because it disabled their Mesmer skin on Revenant. Yeah, that is really stupid. But yeah, people like this do exist, and you can't do anything about it. The people who do complain about these things are the minority. The same group that doesn't want to put in 1% of the effort to actually making a loadout work, and complains that their build isn't doing enough damage, that the other guy is killing everything, and he's stuck there trying to shoot the enemies with their little plinks. And I really feel that these people are one of the reasons DE is afraid of implementing difficulty. Because as soon as DE adds something that's challenging, but not really challenging, or anything that requires prerequisite gear, these people start crying. Now, when I say difficulty, hear me out. I don't mean annoyance, but mechanical difficulty with challenging encounters that have you think on your feet and actually utilize your Warframe's arsenal and movement. And completing these challenging encounters should feel rewarding and reward you for your efforts accordingly. But truth be told, if this was added, those cringe lords would cry that they don't get the rewards because they have to do that content and they should also get something. No, absolutely not. People who actually put in the work should get rewarded. That's just fair. Because there should be content for different kinds of players, the casual and your hardcore gamers. The recent edition of the Deep Archimedea is prime example on how to do things the wrong way when it comes to implementing difficulty. It's literally Sortie 3.0 with a dash of Davinci that locks you into 3 Warframes and 9 times out of 10 god-awful weapons that you would never use. Luckily, when you do Davinci and the circuit, those weapons do get a nice boon thanks to decrease. However, here you can't do anything about them because these weapons are just bad. And if you don't own the weapons or frames, use something that you have or farm that gear. Since the final reward of the Deep Archimedean is absolutely useless, you can actually save a weapon slot for something better. This activity completely guts all the power you've accumulated and gives you annoying modifiers. Not difficult, but literal annoying ones, where you have minus 75% duration. That modifier would be a boon if it was on a frame that can utilize that. You know, like an EV Trin or a Baruch. Or modifiers where you have to be right up in enemies' faces so you can kill them, but they're still invulnerable because you have to kill enemies to drop an item so you can debuff the invulnerable targets that you actually have to be in their faces to kill, but they now have a healing aura while they're invulnerable. But this is supposed to be content for people who are at a late game, but the rewards do not reflect that at all. Entrati Lathorns, why do people at late game need that? Same thing with 70 Vosper. Why do we need that? It's not enough to do a single arcane pull. And this is a weekly reward, by the way. 70 Vosper when you can do Steel Path and get thousands, literal thousands. That's just in an hour of gameplay in Steel Path, by the way. Imagine doing that farm daily. Oh wait, you can. It's called the Steel Path Incursions. Or useless arcanes. Listen, I came to do Deep Archimedea for good rewards, like Archon shards, not melee duplicate. Leave that stuff in Netrocells, but Netrocells is an entirely different topic. Horrible game mode. Badly designed. Yes, this part is a complaint. Hate me all you want, but you cannot sit there and say the rewards are good, because you're just lying to yourself. The rewards just do not feel rewarding at all for the annoyance you have to put up with in Deep Archimedea. And the game modes you play in that activity are just your run-of-the-mill, exterminate, alchemy, survival, defense. Frame this however you want. Oh, it's just some veteran player who's tired of the game. He's played this game so much he doesn't enjoy it. No, the reason I'm talking about it is because I love this game. But yes, I really want this game to be something better, instead of shoehorning itself into this one type of game. But I would love if DE just took a stand and did things that a lot of people would enjoy by taking examples from a game that I have thousands of hours in. And this one game balances all of the things perfectly. Guild Wars 2. I know, completely different genre. I've played Guild Wars 2 since 2016, quit in 2020, and came back a little bit to see what's up. So I have a lot of hours in this game. And this may sound like a lot of glazing. I mean, it might be, but listen, I'm trying to make a point. This game has the perfect balance of casual gamer content and hardcore gamer content, and rewards players for actually putting in work. and rewarding them accordingly for the time and effort they've spent in the game, from your events, dailies, crafting, achievements, and challenging activities. Every type of player is rewarded for the effort they put in with stuff that they like doing in the game. However, if they wanted specific items or gear, they would have to actually do the content that corresponds with what they want. We need actual content that takes advantage of all this accumulated power and places us in environments that tests our game and mechanical knowledge with really good rewards, has great replayability, and is sustainable. I know I'm repeating myself, and I know that's a lot to ask, but man, just imagine. And what's interesting is that there's a game called The First Descendant, and it's just around the corner. This game is almost similar to Warframe. I know it's a Korean game, so pay to win, but I do hope it offers something that Warframe players who want challenge get what they want. And with that game being around, I also hope it challenges Warframe to bring in new things that changes up the game for the better, because every game needs healthy competition. And I played all 3 First Descendants betas, and boy, the boss fights in that game are hella fun and challenging. But then again, what I'm saying after all this whole ramble session is that damage meta and nuking everything with 0 difficulty makes the game boring, and giving yourself a handicap just so you can keep playing the game is not worth it. And Warframe does need a whole update with its gameplay loop, mechanics, and mission types. At this point, people will say, I'll just make a Warframe 2. I mean, that'll be nice, not gonna lie, but it's a lot of work. Instead of adding all these new things, the one update that I'll really enjoy if they reworked all of the old bad stuff, or just rework a lot of bad stuff in general, giving Warframe a fresh new coat of paint. I'm sure a lot of people would love that. But anyway, folks, that has been it from me. I do hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe. For more Warframe content, streams, and so much more, do refer to the description. Thanks for watching or listening. And as always, a peace. Bye-bye now.